Patriots Point tonight, where Charleston Battery continues its early season gauntlet with a rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Final. It's Charleston and Rhode Island FC in a banner USL Championship clash. We say hello and welcome here from Patriots Point alongside Chris Nurse, the former Guyana national team captain. I'm Sam Goldfarb. And Chris, game speaks for itself. Charleston, a measure of revenge on its mind tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if this is just going to be a regular early season game or if it's actually going to be a repeat of the Eastern Conference Final that we saw at the end of last season. Charleston having a game in hand. Obviously, they started last week, went down 2-1 to Louisville, but on paper, they dominated possession, created more chances, just need to be more clinical in front of goal. For Rhode Island, on the other hand, they need to find Crisera. He's the man who makes things happen in their attack. If they're able to feed him the ball consistently, I think it's going to be a very interesting game.
It finished 2-1 to Rhode Island in the 2024 Eastern Conference Final, part of that historic run to the USL Championship Final in their inaugural season. And they've got the band back together. All 6 of their top returning goal scorers are back.
Yeah, for Rhode Island, it's going to be very important for them to continue the momentum that they had last year. Obviously, they're an expansion team last year. They managed to make the finals. Nobody expected that. Kano Smith was taking things game by game, but now the expectancies are higher. He's had one season to kind of embed the team. They're coming into their home stadium, some additional signings, more chemistry. They've set a standard. The pressure's really going to be on for them to continue on the form that they were towards the end of the season.
On the other side of things for the Charleston Battery, you mentioned the loss of Nick Marcanic's production. One of the players tipped to make up some of those lost goals is Juan David Torres, tonight's player to watch, presented by Fleet Feet.
Yeah, obviously Torres and Marcanic formed a tremendous partnership last year. It's going to be interesting to see how he's able to operate on his own, or the new players that come in are able to support him, or he's able to support them. Obviously, he got on to a great start last week, getting the lone goal for his team, but there's a long season ahead of us and big expectations on his shoulders.
Well, we are just about set for kickoff in one of the weekend's top clashes in USL Championship. It's Charleston looking to bounce back after the defeat against Louisville last week. It's Rhode Island looking to open the season on a high note. Stick with us for lineups and kickoff next on the Galaza Network.
Hola.
¿Alguna otra cerveza?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Ok, ahora vuelvo.
Dance like nobody's watching. Except when people are watching, like your roommate and the new boyfriend you forgot she was bringing over. Believe in yourself. But know your limits, because right before an interview really isn't the time to try being a hairstylist. Anything is possible. So yes, winning is possible, but so is not winning, which means sometimes the best way to play is to save some possibility for another day. The South Carolina Education Lottery, supporting better players and a better you.
Return to the field. Score the winning shot. Beat your personal record. Team up with MUSC Health Sports Medicine for all your sports-related injury care and rehabilitation. MUSC Health is the official sports medicine provider for your favorite local teams. From semi-pro athletes to weekend warriors, our sports medicine team provides state-of-the-art injury prevention, treatment, surgery, and rehabilitation for athletes of all ages. Go where the pros go. Schedule an appointment today.
Back post, Torres scores! Across the header, it's in! Ball comes out, Rodriguez! The box, but empty, Myers scores!
Tonight's walkout is sponsored by The Ideal Life, the title sponsor of the Charleston Battery. Just about set for kickoff between Charleston and Rhode Island. It's now time to look at Izzy Sullivan, who gives a quick rundown of the Rhode Island versus Charleston Battery matchup.
It's a fresh start at Patriots Point, and the Charleston Battery are looking for revenge. Last year, they battled Rhode Island FC to 2 draws in the regular season before ultimately falling by just 1 goal in the Eastern Conference Championship, while Rhode Island made history becoming the first ever inaugural club to win the Eastern Conference trophy. Now, with new firepower like forward Cal Jennings and goalkeeper Luis Zamudio, the Battery are ready to turn the page and make a statement against the defending champs on home turf.
Well, tonight's starting lineups are brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Let's start with Rhode Island. Chris, a team that made a lot of additions in the winter. This is how Cano Smith lines up tonight.
Yeah, and I think the benefit they have is a lot of continuity. It's not a new team like they were last year and everybody's getting to know each other, a brand new group of players being thrown together. It's a team that achieved something pretty spectacular last year, considering it was their first year. But we're looking to continue and kick on and do more this season. They've added some key signings to the group to make them stronger, more competition in practice. So really expecting an explosive start from Rhode Island this season.
The big one that jumps out, Maxi Rodriguez joining from Detroit City in the winter. On the other side of things for Charleston, a bit of rotation after the defeat to Lou City. This is what Ben Pierman goes with.
Yeah, and as we spoke about, the key for Charleston Battery is going to be where are the goals going to come from. Is Torres going to be able to fill that void? Is Jennings going to be able to fill that void? There's a big gap left by the exit of Markanich that Charleston are going to be feeling that empty void for a little bit of time, and they're going to have to put things together, find ways to score goals, find ways to be clinical in the box. One thing that's not lacking is opportunities. Last week they had a ton of opportunities, just lacked the clinical and composure to finish off those chances.
There is your look at Ben Pierman, a man who has revitalized this Charleston Battery club, has taken them to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, of course, falling on Penn's in his debut campaign, and then falling to this Rhode Island side in 2024, just a few months ago. Should make for an intriguing clash, a very interesting subplot in what is a loaded start to Charleston's schedule. Cano Smith, meanwhile, his team begins 5 matches on the road, but last season, as you mentioned, Chris, accomplishing something incredible as an expansion club in the inaugural season, going to the USL Championship final. That was something that had never been done before, but of course falling to Colorado Springs 3-0 in that final.
Yeah, and of course, if history is ever a predictor of the future, in their road games at the beginning of last year, they would manage to get a lot of ties. That's predominantly what kept them in the playoff hunt, is that they were not losing games, they were tying games. So they're still picking up a point even when they weren't at their best or they were away from home for long periods of time. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to turn those early season ties that they had into 3 points this season.
This Eastern Conference final rematch underway. Charleston hunting its first ever victory over Rhode Island FC, winless, in 3 attempts. And of course, the one that jumps off the page, the defeat in the Eastern Conference final a few months back in November. Here's one of the many new signings for Charleston, Langston Blackstock, who starts tonight on the right flank. Someone who was really dynamic in his 2 seasons with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, as you mentioned, in the back of the minds of Charleston, they have to be remembering what happened in November, and that's going to give them a little bit more motivation and intensity in this game. Obviously, it's very early in the season. Players are still getting their match fitness. It normally takes somewhere between 5 and 8 games before players really get their match fitness and you really start to see the best out of them. But when you're coming up against a team that knocks you out in the finals or going to the playoff finals, you always find that bit of extra motivation, that extra drive, that extra intensity to go the extra 5 yards.
There's Cal Jennings, big addition up front from Tampa Bay. And his shot blocked. It's cleared only as far as Blackstock. Charleston team that begins its campaign with 5 of its first 6 matches against squads that made the playoffs a season ago. Ben Pierman said it's about 1 match at a time, improving game to game. He didn't want to get distracted by how many bangers there were on the schedule. There's Dequa's first touch, looking to lay it off. Falls for Fuson, whistling across the face of goal, but nothing to show for it.
Good opportunity there for Rhode Island to take the lead early on. Some good one-touch passing to get him behind the Charleston defense. Dequa ends up drifting out wide, and when he does drift out wide here, he takes a touch and picks his head up, and there's no one in the box. He does well to be patient here. Ball ricochets to Fusion, and could have easily been a tap-in at the far post there. Not sure who it was lunging, but a great opportunity there for Rhode Island to take the lead in the opening 2 minutes of the game.
End-to-end early on, Torres' effort routinely into the gloves of Koke Vegas. Cano Smith says he has 3 good goalkeepers. Each week he will pick who's been the best. So far, Koke Vegas, the man who led them to the final with his efforts and goals, has gotten the nod tonight.
Not the best strike from distance there from Torres, but he does have that in his locker. He does have the ability to strike the ball from distance and score. So very dangerous there. It's going to be something that Rhode Island will have to shut him down in those spaces and not allow him the time and space to get those shots off.
Well, fans, tonight's keys to the game are presented by Cruise Subaru, the official automotive dealer of the Battery. Chris, what are we looking for tonight?
With Rhode Island, Quizera is the man in the flanks for them. If they're able to find him a good service, he's going to be the one to make things happen. He's playing in a slightly more advanced position than we saw him in last season. In the attacking third, he can beat players 1v1. He has great deliveries, has the ability to finish chances off himself. For Charleston, on the other hand, we spoke about the game last week where they had 14 shots but still lost the game. Creating that many chances, they're able to be clinical in the attacking third, they're going to be able to pick up points. But being clinical is the hard part. Creating the chances, but having the composure and the quality to finish off those chances is the defining factor of what wins and loses games. And that's where Charleston, obviously we've spoken about trying to replace Mark Cannon.
Well, already an early opportunity. Rodriguez gave chase, and off his line quickly was Luis Zamudio, who likely is raring to go after last week didn't really fully go according to plan. A tough mistake cost Charleston at least a point in that match against Louisville.
We've seen Rhode Island being able to get behind that Charleston defense, and a couple of times in these opening 5 minutes is a little bit worrying.
Torres. Point about clinical. Charleston, a squad that managed 15 shots last week, dominated the possession against Louisville, but only 3 of them were on target. And that was one of the big factors that contributed to that 2-1 defeat, a match in which Ben Pierman said the first 20 to 25 minutes, he felt his side was off the pace, responded well after going behind, but then ultimately the red card to Arturo Rodriguez and the mistake by Zamudio wound up costing them.
And I think that's the difference. You have a striker who's able to get 30-plus goals. You get 14 chances, you score at least 3. And I think that's the issue. It's maybe not defending or creating chances, it's converting those chances right now.
This is Husu Landry, the signing from New Mexico United. And now Dos Santos. Lovely switch wide. Torres. Fans, the time is now for tonight's MUSC injury report. You see Charleston, 1 man out in Kazemka, but a lot of players who did not crack the squad tonight, including MD Myers, who also missed the opener last week.
Yeah, you have to give the athletic trainers their credit. Pre-season is normally pretty brutal, and to start the season with just 1 or 2 injuries for both of these teams is a pretty big accomplishment. So you have to give the medical staff a pat on the back for keeping everybody healthy and fresh coming into the season.
An early set piece here for Charleston. It's Johnny Klein to take toward the back stick, and Vegas deals with it confidently. We talked to Kano Smith a little bit about the goalkeeping situation, and this is a very deep goalkeeper room. Of course, Jackson Lee started 10 matches a season ago, and he said it in many ways is going to be who's performing the best, and last season to some degree that was the case, but Vegas had the vice grip on it by the end of the year.
Yeah, and I think you kind of need that competition across the whole squad. You need somebody on your back if you're the starting player that keeps you sharp. Once you start to get complacent and confident, players start to dip or they start to find a plateau. And it's just as important in the goalkeeper position. Of course, one goalkeeper normally predominantly plays all the games, but it's important to have somebody pushing you and keeping you at your best in training and practices.
Look over the top here, it's loose, an excellent stop. Still alive for Jennings, and headed off the line. Rhode Island surviving the first test.
Brilliant defending there from Rhode Island. I thought Jennings had lost this opportunity here. I thought there was a chance to lift this over the goalkeeper. He goes low, goalkeeper saves it, and I thought this touch took it away. But great defending on the line here. think it's Holstad on the line. Manages to head this one away. Keep the scores level at 0-0, but great opportunity there for Charleston to take the lead.
Hey, Holstad playing a bit out of position tonight. A listed center mid playing fullback, but it's still a Rhode Island team looking to work the new additions into the fold. Well, showed up at a very opportune moment for the Rhode Island defense. Landry.
And again, while it was some excellent goalkeeping and a brilliant stop on the line, for Charleston, you have to say that's a great opportunity wasted again to take the lead.
To your point, clinical finishing. It's what cost them against Louisville, although I think more of that was not turning promising opportunities into chances.
Yeah, there's just a couple of moments in there. The first strike, I think he can lift it over the goalkeeper and it's in the back of the net. And then when Jennings goes through, the touch onto his left foot takes him a little bit wider than he would have liked, albeit he does well to get a shot off with power on target, but then Holstad's well positioned to head it off the line. But two great chances there for Charleston to take the lead.
They've been on top for the first 10 minutes, that's for sure. This is Malloy. Torres linking well. Comes to Dos Santos. Charleston with its first corner of the match. Fans, this corner kick is brought to you by the Pieper Law Firm, the official legal services provider of the Battery. First corner of the night for either side. Johnny Klein getting some early target practice, although Malloy now heads over to this near side flag. I don't know what Malloy can conjure from these set pieces. With in swing, back post, and went down in the box.
Referee seemed well placed to make that decision and didn't seem fazed by either player going to ground.
Looked like Douglas Martinez was the man involved in that coming together. The new addition from Indy 11. Ten minutes gone in this Eastern Conference Final rematch. Charleston has been on the front foot, but there have been moments for Rhode Island on the counter in what has been a surprisingly end-to-end affair early on. Would have thought maybe time for a feeling out process, especially with this being Rhode Island's first match of the season.
And you have to say things have gelled pretty quickly for Charleston. 6 new players making their debuts last week. That's obviously more than 50% of your roster and probably a good 25% of your complete roster or your complete squad altogether. And they look pretty unified and gelled for so many changes and such a new squad, so to speak. Not a new team, but definitely a new collective squad. So they've done a good job of gelling those players quickly. And for Rhode Island, they've obviously made a number of additions also. And most of those players being defenders. You have Bacharach, Rivero, Aldair, Dewhurst. 4 defenders they've added to their ranks. So definitely, I think the intent is there that Cano Smith felt that he needed to add some more defensive weapons to his artillery, and has duly done that in the off-season.
Torres, a lively presence early on for Charleston. He is one of the many players expected to take a leap forward this year without the services of Nick Marcanic, of course, the all-time single-season leading goal scorer in USL Championship history. This is Klein. A heavy touch there, brings it right into the path of Yao. Well, if you're Rhode Island, how do you start to grab a foothold in this?
As we said, for me, one of the keys to the game is finding Quezera on the ball, and I don't think they've done that well enough so far in these opening 15 minutes. We've hardly mentioned his name, but I think once we do start to mention his game is when you're going to start to see some of the best attacking play from Rhode Island. He's the player who really has the ability to unlock this Charleston defense.
You see him latch onto it now. This is Quezera crossing towards the back post and just evades the run of Albert Diqua. Fans Battery matches are the perfect place to make lifelong memories with your friends and family. Your group of 10 or more can enjoy discounted tickets, exclusive on-field experiences, and private hospitality areas to catch the match. Visit charlestonbattery.com to learn more and plan a memorable night at Patriots Point. Just inside the opening quarter of an hour. No score just yet. Charleston, though, the much better of the possession and chances so far. And the man between the sticks, Luis Zamudio, very little his way thus far.
It'll be interesting to see if we see Quizera switch flanks at any point in the game. Obviously, right now he's operating as an inverted winger. And I feel like one of his greatest strengths is his ability to take players on in the wide areas 1v1 and deliver crosses into the box. And obviously, as an inverted winger, he's always encouraged to come inside in those situations, allowing Dos Santos or Blackstock to overlap him. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's one of the tactics that the front three are very versatile and able to switch positions throughout the course of the game.
Well, it's another corner. That's another Pieper Law Firm corner kick for the Battery. With in-swing from Torres, went for the Olympico nearly, falls to Jennings, and it's in! Cal Jennings off the mark for the Battery, 1-0.
We spoke about how Cano Smith had reinvigorated his defense or reinforced his defense with a number of defensive signings, but for some reason, after this first connection with the goalkeeper, everybody just freezes. Nobody really responds or reacts, and Cal Jennings is the first one to run. He's facing away. He does well to pivot and swing and get this shot off on target, but everybody in orange just freezes. Nobody reacts quickly to the ball, and Cal Jennings' striker's instinct is the first one to get onto it. It wasn't the greatest strike, but it's on target, it's clean, and it gives Charleston the lead, 1-0.
Well deserved given their early dominance, and Ben Pierman's side has its first advantage of the young campaign. It's the experienced forward Cal Jennings, who entered the year 12th all-time in the USL Championship in goals, tacking on another in his decorated career.
I think if there was ever a video to capture the phrase caught sleeping, I think that is it for Rhode Island. For some reason, there was a number of bodies, at least 7 or 8 Rhode Island bodies in that box who should have reacted to that second ball, and nobody reacted or responded quick enough. And Cal Jennings made them suffer for it.
And has scored 19 goals in all competitions for Tampa Bay Rowdies a season ago, and Cano Smith's side finds itself trailing for the first time against the Battery in their 4 meetings.
And he'll be extremely frustrated because it's a goal that they definitely did not need to concede. Even when Jennings reacts, his back's facing the goal, so as long as somebody's tight and is following him, he's not going to get the opportunity to turn and get his strike off like that. But unfortunately,
cross comes in from Rodriguez now.
He was able to do exactly that, and he gives his team the lead.
Well, it's not dealt with properly here. And finally, Klein is able to escort it free. Martinez. Shrugged off it by Quizera. It's Cal Jennings in the 15th minute, making the difference thus far. Rhode Island in need of a response after a sluggish start.
And this is where we're going to find out the character of Rhode Island. I think there were many times last season where they got stronger in the second half, or they got stronger as games went on, and even when they were not at their best, they found a way not to lose the game. Even when they didn't win, they found a way to take something out of the game. And I think this is going to be another one of those days. They haven't necessarily started off fantastic, but they're going to have to find the character and the resilience to group together and take something out of this game. You know, Charleston is a very tough opponent. It's not like they're playing a very easy opponent. Charleston's a very tough opponent, where it's a game where you need to be on top of your form to take something away here. But you know, we saw what they did last season, so there's a lot of expectations.
Martinez now, there's a quick touch, one that doesn't quite run to Dos Santos.
And of course, we spoke about that added layer of motivation for Charleston. Rhode Island knocked them out of the Eastern Conference last year, so obviously they're coming for revenge. Rhode Island may be in that mindset, but you would expect Charleston to have a little bit more grit between their teeth tonight, a little bit more fight, a little bit more meaning and intensity. And I think that's where Rhode Island probably have to just raise their level of expectancy a little in terms of the fight and the intensity and the passion.
Ben Pierman did downplay that with us a little bit, but deep down you know there is this added layer of competitiveness within the Charleston squad. He did say, though, every team that doesn't win the big trophy is going to come into the season angry and frustrated, and we're no different than Louisville is even, the side that won the Players' Shield and, of course, fell to this Rhode Island side as well.
Yeah, I think you always have to balance up the political responses from coaches to really understanding what they mean inside of their belly. And these coaches are competitors. They were players themselves, and everything they want to win. As much as they may say the right things, we know that deep down they want to win. When they've been beaten, especially in a game of that magnitude, they want revenge. And as every competitor should. And of course, it's important not to let the emotions overrun you and to make sure you're giving the right messages to the team and to the media. But we really know deep down inside, it's about winning, it's about revenge, it's about stamping your authority in your home stadium, in front of your home fans. All of that comes into play.
Especially when you fall at home in that Eastern Conference final. Match in which they fell behind 2-0. Juan David Torres pulled one back from a set piece, but ultimately could not conjure another chance to try to get back into the match.
And when you were the highest seed, of course, throughout the course of the season.
It's a Charleston squad that finished second in the Eastern Conference table. For Rhode Island, more turbulence, a team that won just one of its opening 14 league matches, but then really got it going in the final 20. Won 11 of the last 20, and that's what got them into the postseason hunt. Jennings was first to that, and yeah, was able to shrug him off it. Quizera.
Yeah, 100%. I think without being prideful, Charleston had the best striker in the league, maybe one of the best strikers USL Championship has had. And Rhode Island at that stage were an expansion team. So the expectations for Charleston themselves and probably across the league was that they were going to be the ones to advance. Of course they didn't, so they have something to prove.
And they've proven it so far through 20 minutes. 1-0 advantage. Cal Jennings' 15th minute strike makes the difference. Rhode Island caught napping at the back on a set piece.
And of course, last year is last year. This season is a different season, different players, a different situation, different circumstances. But it does add context to this fixture and what it means to these players and both organizations tonight.
Bit of slippage early on for both clubs. Rodriguez committing the foul after the fact.
A little bit of ice skating.
It was Ibarra, actually, who left the boot dangling. I've seen it a couple times, though. Quizera lost his footing on the near side as well.
See a few players out there wearing their metal studs. Essentially supposed to give you a little bit more grip when the surface is slippy. A couple players wearing roller skates.
Well, what do you think is on his mind after 20 minutes? He seems animated.
I think he'll be a little bit relaxed that they got the first goal. It takes a little bit of pressure off getting that first goal at home in front of your fans. Now it's about settling down, controlling the tempo of play, maintaining possession, which they've done a fairly good job of. We spoke about they did it last week, and they've been fairly consistent in doing that again this week. I think he'll be happy to see Jennings get his first goal. Obviously, confidence matters for your strikers, and you need strikers to be feeling confident. That's what they feed off, good form and confidence. And that first goal could open up everything for him going forward.
Malloy launches this ahead to Jennings, who also just lost his footing around a similar spot as Ibarra. It's a cloudy day in Charleston, but it hasn't exactly been a downpour by any stretch.
I think it's great weather for an energetic game. You know, as we get into the summer months, things get very hot, and then the speed of play obviously slows down a little bit because of fatigue, exhaustion, dehydration. Right now, we're still in the phase of the season where players can play at maximum intensity. We'll give it that they're still building their fitness, but they're not going to get as exhausted as they will in a few weeks once things really heat up.
Especially down here, it is humid in Charleston, especially once you get to June and July. The dog days of summer are unforgiving at Patriots Point. Juan David Torres. Midway through this first half, the home side definitely the happier of the two entities in this Eastern Conference final rematch. Quizera. This is Maxi Rodriguez, the signing from Detroit City. Perhaps a chance here for Rhode Island, and not quite on the same wavelength as Dikwa and Fuson.
Charleston having the dominance in possession and being able to push Dos Santos and Blackstock high and wide is pinning back at Ibarra and Quizera, which is kind of stifling Rhode Island's attack a little bit. Because they're able to dominate possession and maintain possession of the ball and push the fullbacks high and wide, Quizera and Ibarra having to drop deeper and deeper and deeper. So even when they do pick up the ball, they're not high enough in positions to be able to transition into those spaces and really punish Rhode Island, and be able to punish Charleston.
How much do you feel the fast start by Charleston contributes to that?
I think it's always important when you're the home team to have a fast start, because the fans obviously are behind you. They don't want to see you at home being passive. And it's their style of play also. They're very aggressive, very much on the front foot. It's what they believe in as an organization, as part of their identity. So I think it's an expectation, and I think especially at home, it's kind of what they need to do to be positive and on the front foot going forward.
It's become a staple under Ben Pierman coach teams to possess it and play a very dynamic attacking brand. Started during his time at Memphis when he won Coach of the Year in 2022, and then it has most definitely translated to Charleston. Last season averaged about 58% possession. Fans, welcome to the 2025 USL Kickoff presented by Terminix. Throughout the month of March, USL will be kicking off across the country. Join us for all the action on ESPN and CBS Sports platforms.
Of course, with both Fusion and Dikwa, Rhode Island do have the ability to penetrate those spaces and get behind the Charleston defense in transition.
This is Quizera, your big man to watch for Rhode Island tonight. Important to remember, it is Rhode Island's season opener. Charleston, of course, has a match under its legs against Louisville. Had to shake off some of the early season rust in that match, and Connor Smith was aware there would be a challenge that came with that. So far, his side still looking to adapt. This is Dikwa towards the byline. Does manage to keep it in play for the time being, and now the referee will blow up.
Yeah, we've seen Quizera, we spoke about him being the inverted winger here on the right-hand side, but we very rarely see Holstead overlap him or underlap him so far in this opening half. And I think the objective is, if you do have Quizera and he's able to come inside and occupy those pockets and half spaces, that Holstead is still able to give you that width, and they've not really been able to execute that effectively in these opening 25 minutes of the game.
Rodriguez is starting to get target practice on some of these long-range set pieces. This is the big addition from Detroit, someone who revitalized his career there and now regarded as one of the top midfielders in USL Championship. Connor Smith says he settled in seamlessly. He's felt that the large stable of returners, 16 to be precise, has made it very easy to integrate new personalities, and Rodriguez no different. Holstad set for this long throw. Cross from Holstad, and Zamudia claims confidently. I know you weren't a goalkeeper, but if you're in Luis Zamudio's shoes after last week, obviously a match you played pretty well until the 76th minute with that mistake at the near post. How do you put that on the back burner and move on with especially such a loaded slate for Charleston to begin the year?
I think it's part of the skill set of being a goalkeeper. I don't think you get to this level as a goalkeeper if your mindset and your mentality isn't very strong. And the team has to understand that. The goalkeeper coach has to understand that. The goalkeepers themselves have to be able to manage that, because for a striker, if a striker makes a mistake, you know, there's 10 players behind who are going to bail them out. If a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it ends up being in a goal. So I think goalkeepers are, although it's never easy to handle, they're kind of built with a mindset where they're able to forget about it very quickly and move on to the next play. They have to. If they don't, it only ends up being a slope down a dangerous mountain. And I think they're developed with the skill set to be able to handle those moments and rebound back and forget very quickly.
It is a thankless profession for sure. Torres wins this back after the loose ball from Okiyoshi. Would have been hoping for better effort from long range.
Yeah, optimistic, but I think it's a poor choice to shoot there on his weaker foot from that distance. Maybe be a little bit patient, maybe could have found the runner in behind a little bit earlier. That's a waste of possession there in the attacking third.
It's interesting, your point about a striker, when they make a mistake, there are 10 players behind him to bail him out. Ben Pierman said something similar. He said, I made a fair few mistakes in that match, but they're not going to get looked at because obviously the big headliner is the Zamudio whiff at the near post. But he said Zamudio had a mistake-free preseason and is clearly the #1 and was pretty confident throughout the bulk of those opening 90 minutes against Lou City.
Yeah, I think he would have earned his trust and his belief from his teammates and his manager through consistent performances in training and throughout preseason, and obviously why he's here at the club in the first place. I don't think he's going to be defined by one mistake. If he does that every week, then that could become a different story, but I don't think it's something where the players and the coaches are going to lose trust in him immediately.
Loose touch from Jennings was looking wide to Klein. Half hour gone here from Patriots Point. Still a 1-0 advantage for Charleston Battery. Cal Jennings, 15th minute opener to open his account for Charleston is what makes the difference. And there's a wrestling match between Landry and Fuson.
Six of one, half a dozen of the other. Could have gone either way, this call, in all honesty.
Usually benefit of the doubt to the defender. It appears this time no different. Fuson still looking to grow into things. Player who was, of course, a golden playmaker last season.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal season last year, and obviously he's only looking to get better and to add to that this season.
Led the league with 11 assists. Fans, the Battery are back in action here at Patriots Point. On April 5th, as they take on Tampa Bay Rowdies. Tickets for that match are on sale now via SeatGeek, the official ticket provider of the Battery. Get yours now. Beginning to see Rhode Island look a bit more confident in possession. Now it's about turning that into legitimate chances in the final third. Roy wins this back. And now Torres. Jennings in space. The effort deflected, and another corner on the way for Charleston. Fans, that's another Pieper Law Firm corner kick for the Battery. Starting to rack up set piece opportunities. It's Juan David Torres within swing. Near post. Punched off the line by Vegas, and they did just enough to clear their lines.
Similar situation to the goal that they conceded, but did a much better job at reacting to the second ball in this situation. Some stats, first half stats, or first 33-minute stats. Charleston have had 8 shots in comparison to Rhode Island's 1 shot. 3 shots have been on target. Obviously, one of those ended up in a goal.
Quizera. Switch of the play. Rodriguez. Ibarra. Fuson. Making well with Quizera. Flag stays down for now.
The pros and cons of him being inverted. When he receives that ball back behind the line, the bar behind the defense, he's delivering that cross on his weaker foot. If he's on the other side, he's delivering that ball with a lot more quality with his natural left foot, and it would be far more dangerous. He hasn't really threatened anything on goal being on the inverted side. I wonder how long he'll stay there, or if he'll stay there for duration of the game, or if kind of switch him to his more natural side.
He's played all over the shop on the left side. Played wing back during the playoff run for some spells. Dos Santos. Approaching the business end of this first half. The Cal Jennings 15th minute opener is what separates these two sides. Rhode Island, though, starting to knock it around with a bit more aplomb here in the later stages of this first half.
Yet to have a strike on target in this opening half.
Jennings. That's clever. Malloy. Charleston continuing to twist the screws. Cross in from Blackstock.
It's a great cross there from Blackstock. I thought Jennings should have been a little bit more dynamic when this ball went in behind. I thought he should have been going at full speed, at least getting a strike off on target here. He does well to slow play down, keep his team in possession, but I think that's the difference there. When he's through on goal and he has time, the ball's out in front of him, being able to have that good first touch at his feet, and the second touch should be a strike across the keeper with his left foot.
Well, it's the 4th corner of this first half for Charleston. Rhode Island has yet to win one. Fans, that's another Pieper Law Firm corner kick for the Battery. Juan David Torres has done an excellent job pinning Vegas on his line on a lot of these in-swingers. The budding set-piece specialist have in his locker. Another peach, and it lines up in. Jennings wheeling away in celebration, and it's 2 for Charleston.
He's giving Jennings a hard time for not getting the ball out his feet and getting a strike off on target with the initial opportunity, but he goes and puts amends to it by getting himself on the score sheet from this. Does he get himself? Well, he's claiming it. But it's a great delivery here from Torres. Whipped over the first man in near post area. And I think it is Jennings right there to guide it into the back of the net. For Rhode Island, that's 2 corner kicks, 2 set-piece deliveries, 2 goals conceded. Cano Smith will be devastated, frustrated at his team lacking concentration in those key moments.
A brace for Jennings, both off set pieces. Fans, that Battery goal is brought to you by Diamonds Direct, the official jeweler of the Battery. A Cal Jennings first half brace has the hosts in front in this Eastern Conference final rematch.
And we spoke about the role of Torres, whether he was going to be the goal scorer or provider. Last week, he's the goal scorer of a free kick. This time, he's the provider with a delivery from a corner kick. And you see the quality and the danger that he puts those balls in, which with pace, with dip, misses the first man. A striker's dream, and Jennings just in the right place at the right time, which is also a skill. I'm not taking anything away. Guides it into the back of the net to give them a 2-0 lead, 37 minutes into the game. Mountain for Rhode Island to climb now to get themselves back into it.
2-0 to Charleston. Cal Jennings with both. Of course, we mentioned his decorated goal-scoring record, 67 USL Championship goals throughout his career. Of course, double digits in both seasons with Tampa Bay and back-to-back All-League second-team campaigns. There's a man down now for Charleston. Fans, this injury stoppage is brought to you by MUSC Sports Medicine. It was Douglas Martinez, the 27-year-old who is now walking gingerly. One of the many exciting new additions to this Battery side as they look to replace Marcanic's production by committee. When talking to Ben Pierman, he said no one player is going to make that up. It's going to fall on a lot of many different players' shoulders to either increase their production or replicate it from elsewhere. Martinez, one of those who has high expectations, a former winner of this league in 2019.
And I think it's important to get those early wins because, of course, they don't want to forget about Marcanic, but you don't want it lingering on, we don't have him anymore. It's important to turn the corner, get wins, get points, get somebody else giving you that goal-scoring output so that you can move on from Marcanic. Of course, he's written himself in the history books. He's always going to be part of the legacy of the organization. But you don't want it to drag you down for the season and that be the only topic that everybody discusses. So I think getting the wins, getting players confident, being good in the attacking third, again, with the changes is very important. The earlier it happens, the better for Charleston.
As things stand through 40 minutes, they're well on their way to eradicating some of those concerns. The attack free-flowing and far more clinical than a week ago. Although this is a giveaway by Torres. It falls right to Fuson. The effort deflected. Smith's intervention. Well, lost in all the shuffle of their exceptional attack, Graham Smith returns, the defender of the year in the league a season ago. You see him right in the thick of things moments ago as the yellow is shown after the challenge on Klein.
Brave defending from Smith earlier there. I think Fusion is it releases a rocket from distance and Smith heads it away, gets dazed, stumbles back a few steps, but brave defending.
Yellow shown to Clay Holstad. He's the first man in the book for either side tonight.
Of course, for Charleston now, going into the last 5 minutes before half-time, the goal has to be shut up shop. Don't allow any goal-scoring opportunities. Keep a clean sheet going into half-time, and then you regroup and go again. That's where you're relying on your experienced players in your group to manage the intensity and the tempo on the pitch. Sometimes you have to hold players back from making those runs and opening you up and just stay organized and disciplined. Charleston want to keep the vast majority of their players behind the ball and not get caught chasing it.
We've seen Taimu Okiyoshi starting to get involved on his professional debut. He was one of the highly touted signings from the college ranks. Played 5 years at Marshall and, of course, last season, an All-American on the Thundering Herd side that reached the national championship game. Now, I'm sure he doesn't love talking about what transpired in that game, of course, Vermont winning, but Okiyoshi, an integral part in midfield for that Marshall side, one of the top programs in college soccer.
And as we've spoken about, Rhode Island is a team where you have to be very, very cautious and switched on until the final whistle. They're known to get stronger in the second half of games. Kenneth Smith is very thoughtful in the changes that he makes, both technically, tactically, and via personnel, and I expect them to come out even stronger in the second half of this game. And 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline. We've seen them come back from these scorelines before on a number of occasions. So I think we're set up for a very exciting second half. I don't think Charleston can afford to take their foot off the gas whatsoever. And I think we're going to see Rhode Island come out in the second half and turn it up a few levels.
This is Rhode Island side that finished last season third in USL Championship in goals, right behind Charleston. So you know they can put them in the back of the net in a hurry. Wizera is one of those dynamic attackers. He's looking for Dikwa. It was read to perfection by the captain Archer. Klein. Martinez overran it. Pinged forward. A lovely ball into the path of Fuson. Deflected out of play. They say the last touch was off Dos Santos.
It's another occasion when we see players losing their foot in a great ball over the top there. Fusion, fantastic first touch, and just loses his foot in there. Ends up winning a corner kick, but hard to see from this angle. But give the referee the benefit of the doubt that he made the right decision.
It's Rhode Island's first corner of the night on the precipice of halftime. Wizera's first opportunity to put in a delivery here. Lofted to the back post and evaded everybody in orange. Fan soccer season is here, and SeatGeek is the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your USL tickets and more from the #1 ticketing site. SeatGeek, your ticket to great seats.
A couple of score updates as we go into halftime. Miami FC continuing where they left off last year, 3-0 down to Indy 11 at the halftime break. North Carolina and Loudoun tied 1-1. Tulsa Tampa Bay Rowdies 4 minutes into the game, 0-0 right now.
Tough stretch for Miami over these past few years. Got a quick turnaround too, the Open Cup against Naples United on Tuesday.
It's quite a shadow of the Miami FC that we're used to.
Fan stoppage time is brought to you by Gildan.
That we used to see competing, should I say, maybe not the Miami FC from last year, but a couple of years ago, this was the team that was dominant, continuously competing for the #1 in regular season and the playoffs.
And of course, even before that, in the lower leagues of American football, a force to be reckoned with as well.
Football or soccer?
I say both, interchangeably. I'm American, right? So you got to have your taste of both while sounding respectable to the British listeners.
You say football, people will give you the side eye.
I don't have the accent to say football, do I? Need to be a little more British for that.
Yeah, I was coming through the airport once and I said football, and they were ready to send me to the back room, and I said, no, soccer. They're like, yeah, you look too small for a football player. Never made that mistake again.
We're in the final minute of added time here. A 2-0 advantage for Charleston. Both goals scored by Cal Jennings, who's opened his account for the Battery. Rodriguez, it's a clean challenge from Landry. A nervy ball back that Dikwa doesn't get to by mere footsteps.
Good composure from Charleston here. Some play that you could say has been pretty risky, but finding a way to keep possession.
Another slip, this time from Ibarra. Well, there's the halftime whistle. A 2-0 advantage for Charleston in a terrific start in this Eastern Conference final rematch. Chris, your general impressions of those opening 45?
I think it's been a pretty strong first half from Charleston. I think they'll need to be stronger in the second half. Rhode Island, I expect them to come out all guns blazing in the second half. I think Cano Smith will give them a reminder of what they did. They allowed them to win that Eastern Conference final last year, and that that player, that personality, that character needs to show up in the second half.
The defending Eastern Conference champions find themselves in an uncharacteristic 2-0 deficit at halftime. Work to do in their season opener. Meanwhile, Charleston, an excellent response from last week. Cal Jennings striking twice. The Battery lead 2-0 at halftime. Should make for an enthralling final 45 minutes here from Patriots Point. Stick with us, the halftime show, when we return here from Charleston.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
NRDNASC is a genomic screening research program. If we can identify a specific genetic factor that's involved, we can intensify the screening with an effort to prevent cancer and heart disease.
The NRDNA project is really a unique opportunity for individuals across the state to participate in genetic testing. That's another way to help provide data and research so we can learn more about the underlying causes of certain health conditions.
Declare your purpose at Charleston Southern University, offering a wide range of undergraduate degree programs, including majors like aeronautics, engineering, business, and education. CSU is committed to providing you with a biblical worldview and a cutting-edge education. The campus experience includes Division I athletics, small class sizes, intramural sports, and more, all at the only Christian university in the Lowcountry of South Carolina. Join the Buccaneer family and apply today at charlestonsouthern.edu.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
We welcome you back here from Patriots Point, where it's 2-0 Charleston Battery over Rhode Island FC in this Eastern Conference final rematch. Izzy Sullivan hosts a panel of 4 female business owners in Charleston to honor Women's History Month.
To everyone who's come before us, right? Like, we as women have had to fight for a really long time.
I don't want to go out on the job site and be recognized as the woman on the job site. I just want to be respected because Sam's the best low voltage contractor.
We have families, many of us have kids, and so you're maintaining all these different lives.
Welcome to our special Women's History Month feature. I'm your host, Izzy Sullivan, and today I'm here with 4 incredible business owners who are partnered with the Charleston Battery. Let's dive into their journeys and what Women's History Month means to them.
Our business is Barnyard Chicken, and we're relatively new to the community.
I'm Sam, the owner of Prime Structured Cabling.
Yeah, I'm Melissa, Leveling the Fields.
Yeah, I'm Anya with Dish and Design Catering. Usually when I go on a job site, I'm very often the only woman, and certainly the only woman who owns the business. Many times I come out and they turn to my male technicians and they start talking to them like they're the boss, and they're like, oh, boss lady's right there. And there's that moment of like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, no, I do believe I know what I'm doing and I know how to do it, and I do it well. I love being around people that want to support locally, like the Battery, you know, like this in itself is really amazing to me.
You know, for me, it's not just the country, the city, and moving here is making a home. And I think that's really important for women too, to feel like they're part of something bigger than just your business.
So much of history, so much of what we were taught as kids was all male-centric. It becomes very kind of narrow of like what you were capable of. It's so different now, and it's awesome. You've got pro basketball players that are female, and now a young girl can look at these WNBA players and NWSL players and say, oh, this is an option. This is now an option. It was always an option to boys.
It's giving yourself permission that you are allowed to do more, that you can do more.
I would want all the kids right now, especially the girls, to know like they can do whatever they want. Literally anything they want to do is possible if they really want to do it. You know, there's no barriers in my mind anymore for us as women.
Well, Battery fans, if you're going to take advice from anybody, take advice from these. They're incredible. And if you see them walking around at Patriots Point on game day, give them a high five, because wow, the inspiration in this room is truly incredible. And happy Women's History Month to every woman in the Charleston Battery Fund front office and the Charleston community. We support you, not just this month, but every day.
Thanks to Izzy Sullivan for that report. We will step aside here in the halftime show. The Ideal Life halftime show, it is 2-0 Charleston. They lead Rhode Island in this Eastern Conference Final rematch. We'll step aside when we come back, a look at the first half.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Jansen Wilson tiptoed the line. Wilson! Brilliant! He has been on fire at Tampa Bay! Cross forward, put down by Gagi, the hero! Let's go!
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way. Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power. Trusted for over 100 years, our proven blend of camphor, menthol, and essential oils tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger, so that you can rise above pain and get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
Success doesn't come easy. It takes grit, hustle, and relentless effort. Every step forward brings you closer to greatness. This is your moment. Elevate your game. El Jimador Spiked Bebidas.
Bounces and a score! Cabrera!
If Week 1 taught us anything in USL Championship play, it's that this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint.
Dogman! Denied!
We saw such a wide variety of ways to go about their business on the field of play, and yet quality of talent not lacking whatsoever. Can't wait to see Week 2 and beyond of what these teams bring to the field of play.
We welcome you back to Charleston, where the homestanding Charleston Battery hold a 2-0 lead over Rhode Island FC on the Ideal Life halftime show from Patriots Point. Well, it is now time to take a look around USL Championship. It is still the second week of the season, but plenty of news to get to. How about Oakland Roots surpassing 15,000 tickets sold for their home opener at Oakland Coliseum against San Antonio next Saturday, and Lexington winning its debut match against Hartford Athletic last week.
Yeah, I think that's two things that have kind of summed up the direction that USL Championship is going right now. 15,000 fans for Oakland Roots, it's breaking records, and obviously Lexington returning USL Championship, winning their first ever match, and obviously we all know the legacy and the history of the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup kicking off next week.
It is a major milestone on the calendar next week in the Open Cup. How about scores around the league? You mentioned that Miami match partner, but Detroit earning a road win at Colorado Springs.
Yeah, and obviously you're watching one of their key players tonight in our fixture, and they found a way to fill the void. Obviously, we know what Colorado switchbacks are capable of doing. That's a big win away from home for Detroit City. Miami FC, as we spoke about, similar start to this season that they ended last season. We all look forward to seeing them turn it around, but a lot of changes needed in their performances. North Carolina Loudoun, two pretty evenly matched teams, and of course Tampa Bay Rowdies and Tulsa tied 0-0 halftime.
Well, how about a look at the upcoming schedule for tonight? It's a loaded slate. Every team in action this week, or virtually every team in action. And as you look further down, Orange County hosting Lexington. That's an intriguing one. And Pittsburgh going to San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio, Pittsburgh, exciting game. Phoenix rising under new leadership of Pamadou Carr. Be interested to see how they're able to perform tonight. Las Vegas Lights and New Mexico. Will be interested to see how Nocerino continues over there in Las Vegas. Orange County, Lexington, Louisville City, Birmingham Legion. Tomorrow, some exciting games over the course of this weekend.
How about we take a look at the bigger picture in USL Championship? I know these are just early season prognostications, but these are the preseason power rankings. Rhode Island and Charleston, 3 and 4, both expected to contend.
Yeah, and I think, look, when you look at the table, you see Louisville City where they are, and this is something I always love, that they always want to compete for number one. Whether it's the first game of the season or the last game of the season, their intentions are clear. They want to win everything. They want to be regular season champions. They want to be playoff champions. And how they start is always important. They're not one of the teams who say, oh, doesn't matter how we start, we're building fitness. They want to win, they want to win, they want to win. And it's pretty clear to see from the get-go, the two teams at the top, similar. They're going with that winning mentality in every moment of the season, every game. It's about picking up 3 points and winning.
It's 0 to 100 real quick for Louisville the second the initial whistle on the season begins. Well, that's your look at the preseason power rankings. Your look at the halftime score right now on the Ideal Life Halftime Show. Charleston leads 2-0. We'll take a look at the first half when we return.
Hola.
¿Alguna otra cerveza?
No, Michelob Ultra.
Ok, ahora vuelvo.
Down back post, Torres scores! Across the header, it's in! Ball comes out, Rodriguez blocks, but empty, Myers scores!
Return to the field. Score the winning shot. Beat your personal record. Team up with MUSC Health Sports Medicine for all your sports-related injury care and rehabilitation. MUSC Health is the official sports medicine provider for your favorite local teams. From semi-pro athletes to weekend warriors, our sports medicine team provides state-of-the-art injury prevention, treatment, surgery, and rehabilitation for athletes of all ages. Go where the pros go. Schedule an appointment today.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Welcome you back on the Ideal Life Halftime Show. Charleston Battery leads 2-0 over Rhode Island FC in this Eastern Conference final rematch. I'm Sam Goldfarb alongside Chris Nurse. Looking forward to the second half. But before we get there, it's time to look at the public's first half highlights. Cal Jennings on the mark twice for the Battery.
Yeah, and you know the question mark was who's going to replace the goal output for Charleston Battery with Marcanic leaving, and Cal Jennings reacts very quickly here, managed to pivot, gets his shot on target. Rhode Island defense caught slipping here. You can see how many players in the box and no one in orange shirt reacts apart from Jennings. Gives Charleston the lead, 1-0.
And then later on, you see this is the 15th minute, just a fox in the box. This is what's made him one of the top scorers in the 37th, direct from a set piece this time.
Yeah, both of these corners delivered by Torres. The first one, the keeper was able to save. This one, devastating delivery, misses the first man. Jennings is in the near post area, just guides it into the back of the net. 2-0. 2 corner kicks.
The 2 difference-making moments for Charleston as they lead 2-0 at halftime. Here are your Spinks halftime stats. I think the numbers tell the full story. Rhode Island without a shot on target.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to see 9 shots on target for Charleston Battery. They managed to convert 2-4 of those shots being on target. For Rhode Island, just 2 shots and no shots on target. They're going to have to be more clinical. They're going to have to create more chances. They're going to have to be more on the front foot. But I think they're going to have to be a little bit more dominant in the possession that they're having. They haven't really had any dominant possession in the attacking half where they've been able to get Cruzeiro high, where they've been able to get Ibarra high. I think either they have to get those players on the ball high and wide areas, or they've got to be very good in transition moments and get Fuzon and Dequa making runs in behind the defense of Charleston.
Temperature beginning to drop precipitously ahead of this second half. Hoodies on for those fans in attendance as both teams get set for the start of this second half. Charleston hoping to build on what was a dominant opening 45 minutes. hardly allowing Rhode Island any possession of note in their own half. Charleston, it is about finishing the job and achieving a measure of revenge. For Rhode Island, it is about flipping the script here after intermission. And back underway here from Patriots Point. 45 more minutes on the clock before we can ultimately declare a victor. We were talking about this at halftime. I think the number, besides the no shots on target, that jumps out most for Rhode Island, Albert Dikwa, just 8 touches in that first half.
Yeah, and it's where those 8 touches are. He's a player that needs to be making runs towards goal. He can be a player who has 1 touch, and that 1 touch can be a goal, but he's not really had any dangerous opportunities or strikes on target in that first half. He's not been fed with any kind of quality service that is going to allow him to get shots on target or score any goals. So it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt. There's a couple of times where we saw him making diagonal ones outside of the box into the channel that's normally occupied by Quizera or by Ibarra, but nothing with him going directly towards goal.
We all know what he can provide. 2 seasons ago, the Golden Boot winner with Pittsburgh, scored 20 goals in that campaign, 11 goals a year ago as well. Tied atop Rhode Island's goal-scoring tally with J.J. Williams, who's on the bench tonight. So they have firepower up front. It's just about giving said firepower some service.
Yeah, Dikwe is definitely one of the names in the league when defenders look at who they're up against and they're like, oh no, this guy. Because he's going to put you under pressure, he's going to make you work, he's going to make runs in behind, and if he gets opportunities, good service, he can punish you and score goals.
Well, if you are just joining us, we say welcome on the Golazo Network alongside former Guyana national team captain Chris Nurse. I'm Sam Goldfarb. A 2-0 advantage for Charleston, courtesy of a Cal Jennings brace in that first half. Both from corner kicks, the first on a second ball, the second direct off the corner. And it leaves that man, Cano Smith, reeling a bit at halftime as his squad looks for an answer. This is Rodriguez on the ball. And it comes out to Juan David Torres. Torres has made a menace of himself so far today.
Yeah, he has moments in the game where his quality shines through, and I think that's the value he has. You can see dead ball situations, his ability offensively. Defensively, sometimes you can lose him defensively in games, but in games where they're able to dominate possession of the ball, he's a tremendous asset for this Charleston team.
Jennings, a beautiful touch to Torres. Back through for Jennings, he's onside, and Vegas doing very well to close down the angle.
I think there we just saw some of the best of Torres. The ball comes into him, he plays it 1 touch around the corner, follows his pass, and then the through ball at the end of it, this is absolutely sublime. Jennings probably, I just thought, just let it run a little bit too long. He's got to try and lift that over the goalkeeper also. Could have had his hat-trick there, great opportunity straight after half-time to get another goal. But Charleston continuing their dominance in this game so far, and Torres continuing his strong performance.
And Darce also doing just enough to obstruct Jennings' run a bit. Well, he's even more animated than we saw him at 1-0.
Remember I told you about what coaches say and the way they really feel. 2-0 up at home. He's berating the referee because he gave a foul that wasn't a foul. I told coaches want to win. They will say the right things when they need to. But deep down they're as competitive as the players on the pitch, and they need to, because the players, the transmission, the energy from the coach will be transmitted to the players. And I think it's always important for coaches to transmit energy that they want to win. They have the winning mentality. They want to win the moments in games. And that's why he's upset about that, because you want to win 50-50 tackles. You want to win your headers. You want to win your blocks. You want to win your 1v1 duels. And if you win those moments, that over the course of the game, you win the game. So I think that's where you see, like, he's upset at losing that moment, because they're the little things that win you the game over the course of 90 minutes.
You don't become the USL Championship Coach of the Year without that competitive fire. And of course, Ben Pierman achieving that feat a couple years ago with Memphis. You could argue that in 2024 he really should have been in line for the award, but Danny Cruz accomplishing something incredible with Louisville, and it made it a little difficult to overlook him in that race.
Serial winners. Danny Cruz is a serial winner. If you watch how he plays, you watch his teams, you watch his mentality, you listen to him talk, he's a serial winner. And then, and I always say to him, he always wants to be #1 in the regular season. The regular season, as we know, is not the most coveted or not the most rewarded trophy, but that's what he prides his team on, and I think he'll continue to elevate, he'll continue to climb as a leader and as a coach because he has that mentality drilled into him where he wants to win everything and be #1 at everything that he does.
It's hard to argue with that approach when you look at his accomplishments. Malloy, one of the top midfielders in this league. Jennings. It's out wide, cross comes in, just dips over the head of Martinez. Fans, the Battery's brand new 2025 kit is on sale in stadium now and will be available online tomorrow, courtesy of Hummel, the club's official jersey provider. Check out the full line of new Battery gear, including customizable 2025 kits, by visiting shop.charlestonbattery.com. Just over 50 minutes gone. It is a 2-0 advantage for Charleston Battery over the defending Eastern Conference champions Rhode Island FC. As things currently stand, this Eastern Conference final rematch is in line to go their way, courtesy of Cal Jennings' brace in the first half. Second half picking up, starting much like the first did. Charleston dominance and very little possessional foothold for the visitors. To be fair, when you look at the numbers from the Eastern Conference final, that's not far off. The difference is the chance quality has also been strongly in Charleston's favor, and that was not the case a few months ago when they met in November. Long ball forward towards Dequa. Dealt with by Zamudio.
I think if you really get granular on it, the difference has been 2 set-piece deliveries, and how they've been defended has really been the defining factor in this game right now. Both teams, you could say, have been a little bit wasteful in front of goal, but how they defended those 2 corner kicks has really been the defining factor of Charleston having control of the game and being 2-0 in the lead right now. It could very easily be 0-0.
Quizera. If anything will come for Rhode Island tonight, it will come via his boots. Sanchez. Moving it towards the back stick. It's beyond the reach of Fuson. Kiyoshi. Quizera's cross, a decent ball in. It's punched away by Zamudio. Cleared only as far as Yao. Fuson. He's looking for the inverted run of Sanchez. It was read well by Torres. Landry in space. Picturesque switch of the play. This is Klein. For Martinez at the back post. Not enough mustard on the delivery.
Great opportunity there for Charleston to punish Rhode Island on the counter-attack. They were 3 versus 3 in attack. Midfield just wasn't able to get up to win the second balls after the cross.
So I'm going to ask you a follow-up from earlier. You mentioned the 2 set-piece goals. If you're Cano Smith, which one irritates you more?
What do you mean, open play or set pieces? Both goals.
The 2 goals that were from set pieces. Which mistake or lapse would irritate you more as a coach? The second ball or the direct delivery to the near post?
The second ball goal for sure, because a good delivery is a good delivery. Sometimes the ball is that good, and that second ball from Torres was a great delivery. The one where the player stood and didn't react quick enough is definitely going to be the one that he's frustrated at, because there's so many bodies in the box. Somebody could be tight to Jennings and not allow him to turn. One of the 8 bodies could have reacted and got to the ball first. The delivery, just sometimes the delivery is too good to stop. Sometimes free kicks, too good to stop. Sometimes you just have to take those ones on the chin. But the first one, where players were standing and didn't react quick enough. I think that he'll be very disappointed with that one.
I think you said it best in the moment. They were falling asleep at the back, or caught napping.
Caught napping.
Here's Malloy, the three-time reigning All-League first-teamer. Terrific switch to Torres. This is scintillating football from Charleston.
As nice as it is to see, if you're a Borough and you see Torres starting to control the, you've got to be gritting your teeth and wanting to leave it on him the next time he gets the ball. Yes, it's great for the fans, but as a player, when somebody's doing that level of skill against you, it's almost a little bit disrespectful.
You were a holding mid, right?
I think I twitched. I twitched just watching him do it.
I could tell from that comment.
I twitched like, but that I think it's part of being a competitor. You take stuff like that personal.
Two changes being readied now for Rhode Island, and J.J. Williams is one of them. So a statement of intent from Kanu Smith as he looks to change the trajectory of this one. Out there, Sanchez will vacate for him.
And these are two substitutions that do have the potential to change the fortune for Rhode Island. Herivo, very industrious, has the ability to score goals, will cover ground, will create. Williams, a goal scorer, has the ability to occupy two defenders, hold up play, bring other players into play. So expect to see the dynamic change a little bit in attack for Rhode Island right now.
Herivo is not a man Charleston wants to see. Scored the opener in the Eastern Conference Final in November. It's a flick on, near post. Zamudio forces it behind for a Rhode Island corner.
You already see Williams involved from his first touch in the game. Long throw into the box, he flicks it on. Rodriguez ends up winning a corner from it.
Second corner of the night for Rhode Island. Very few opportunities in the final third. Chance for Josiah Quizera to log another delivery. Hook toward the heart of the area. It's an unconvincing punch from Zamudio. Falls to Holstad. Charleston finds a way out.
Good recovery there from Holstad to win back possession of the ball. Of course, if it's not a head injury, Rhode Island are not obligated to stop play.
Now they will stop play. Martinez down for the second time tonight. Fans, this injury stoppage is brought to you by MUSC Sports Medicine. The second time that Douglas Martinez is down tonight. Appears content to continue. Well, fans, battery matches are the perfect place to make lifelong memories with your friends and family. Your group of 10 or more can enjoy discounted tickets, exclusive on-field experiences, and private hospitality areas to catch the match. Visit charlestonbattery.com to learn more and plan a memorable night at Patriots Point. Just shy of the hour mark here on the Golazo Network. Sam Goldfarb, Chris Nurse on hand. The Cal Jennings brace is what separates these two sides in this Eastern Conference Final rematch. Charleston currently in line to exact a measure of revenge on their budding Eastern Conference rivals. Rhode Island has made alterations in an attempt to change this. We mentioned J.J. Williams entering the fray joint top goal scorer for RIFC last year. Scored 5 goals in the playoff run to the USL Championship final. Was the biggest catalyst for that surge into the final. And this is won back by Dikwa. And Blackstock doing just enough on the challenge. Torres. Stretching Rhode Island once again. Dos Santos. Klein weaving inside. Jennings. He's on a hat trick at the moment. Torres. A magician tonight.
Jennings does a good job of knowing when he can't get shots off. He does a good job of holding up the ball and keeping the team in possession.
This is Malloy. Charleston dragging around Rhode Island at the moment. Floated cross. It's claimed by Vegas over the oncoming Jennings. You see the numbers on your screen. Rhode Island still without a shot on target so far. Kiyoshi looking long, and it is beyond the reach of Fuson. Van Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. From the Academy to the big leagues, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Time rapidly waning on Rhode Island at the moment. A side that has been second best for the majority of this hour plus. Fuson looking to change that. It was through momentarily for Dikwa and then ultimately dealt with by Malloy. Overzealous tackle from Holstad.
Obviously Charleston here taking their time as much as possible. They're in no rush to get this ball back into play. It's Rhode Island who are trying to speed up the play, get the ball back into play, create opportunities, but Charleston currently being 2-0 up in control of the game with just under 30 minutes remaining. Managing the time effectively for the situation they're in, but for Rhode Island they'll want the ball in play, rolling as much as possible, trying to get Williams, trying to get Heriveau onto the ball so that they can create chances. You can already see where the line is for Charleston. Just at the halfway line, there's enough space in behind where they can find Dikwa with runs in behind, but again, we've spoken, he just hasn't been provided with any quality service as yet in this game.
Dikwa's running after this, and ultimately off his line is Zamudio.
That's the right idea in the pass, but you could see it was a little bit too far ahead of Dikwa, and Zamudio was in a great position to clear it up. His goalkeeping position is kind of stifling the attack for Rhode Island, because if the ball is overhit or it's not hit with perfection, he's in a good position to come and clear it up. But we know with the speed of Dikwa, if that ball is hit right and the timing of the run is right, it's more likely going to end bad for Zamudio and be a good opportunity for Dikwa to get himself on the score sheet.
It's always interesting to see how the goalkeeping position evolves, because there's so much talk about being a sweeper, and that's part of the new responsibilities of a professional goalkeeper.
Yep, I think there's always, I think we're going around in it's about to come full circle, if you ask me. I think we went through the Guardiola area where everybody was mimicking how Guardiola plays, and now coaches are maybe going back to being more consistent with what works best for their players and what works best for the players that they have in their team, rather than maybe emulating somebody else's style based upon the players that they're able to have, maybe working with the players that you have and what works best for your team, rather than everybody trying to emulate the same style of play.
Do you think you run into unnecessary risk when you involve your goalkeeper in the build too much?
No, I think there's without risk, there's no reward. I think there's a lot of reward that can come from utilizing your goalkeeper when you're able to bring the opponents deep into your half and then exploit the space that they leave behind. But obviously your goalkeeper needs to have that capability and that comfort, and the defense and the players in front of him need to understand how to play with him, and a lot of chemistry and cohesion in synchronizing movements and moments throughout the course of the game. Of course, it is 100% risky, but we've seen it has also been very effective in building from the back, utilizing the goalkeeper.
Martinez trying from afar and is unable to pick out Jennings in the box.
And of course, you can also see if Zamudio is deeper and stays back, these are balls in behind that Dikwa would have punished a number of times so far in this game. His position of being a little bit higher has actually made it easier for them to keep a clean sheet and for the defense to be able to press a little bit higher, because now they don't have to be so concerned about that space behind being exploited.
Loose touch from Okiyoshi. And Malloy clattered to the deck. Maybe a moment of reckoning here for Maxi Rodriguez.
Probably a little bit of frustration in that tackle.
Tell you what, this one had some sting in it, didn't it?
It was a strong tackle. I think he did get. All right, maybe he didn't get a lot of the ball.
It's hard to time that challenge, isn't it?
I think it was a frustrated tackle, in all honesty. But at least you can say there's some response to the situation. He's not, down in tools. He's not dropping his work rate. He's staying consistent.
So much made about his attacking output, especially with 10 goals in all comps last year, but decent at the back as well. Torres' ball in, still loose. Klein through traffic, it's still Klein, and an excellent stop in the end from Koke Vegas.
Again, just sharper Charleston, just sharper to those second balls inside the box, and Klein does ever so well here to react to this. Good feet to kind of create the space to get in behind. Just thought he should have pulled the trigger there, takes the extra touch, and Holstead does well to get a block on the shot.
Well, instead, that's another Pepper Law Firm corner kick for the Battery.
Tenacious play there from Klein in and around the box.
Johnny Klein, the former St. Louis City 2 product, who made his way up to the first team last year, but moved to Charleston this offseason, and it's been a mainstay on the left flank early on. Torres goes short this time. Chipped in, no real trouble for Vegas.
Surprised Torres opted to go short with that corner kick, considering the success that he's had delivering them directly into the box.
Especially at the near post. He's really pinned Vegas along his line. Clever from Quizera.
Interesting now, we actually see Quizera switched across to this left-hand side of the field.
Hearing word one more change being readied for Rhode Island. It appears Grant Stoneman, who started in defense during Rhode Island's run to the USL Championship final, is being readied at any given moment. What are the instructions he's giving his team at a time like this?
They've got to get the ball to the big man. They brought on Williams, they brought on Herivo, and you've got to feed Williams. Obviously, he's a big body. He can make things happen by getting.
This comes to Rodriguez. Really dropped kindly for Dikwa. And instead, I believe the flag was raised.
What Williams does is he allows you to play a little bit more direct into his body, where he's either going to hold it up and get players into play, or he's going to be able to flick it on for Dikwa to make runs in behind.
That's the end of Taimu Okiyoshi's professional debut. He's replaced by Grant Stoneman. who, as we mentioned, a regular in the heart of defense during that run to the USL Championship final. It was historic from Rhode Island FC. The first ever expansion club in its inaugural season to reach the final. Stoneman played a big part in that victory at Patriots Point in November.
So Quizera's come to the left-hand side and Fusion is now operating on the right-hand side for Rhode Island, with Dequa and Williams operating as a front two.
Here is Dequa. And the first touch for J.J. Williams. They say it came off his hand first. Jennings in space. This is Juan David Torres. Cross from Landry. Klein unable to keep it in play. Fans can't watch the match. Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access on Tuesday nights. Plus hear live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more. All on Sirius XM FC 157 and the new Sirius XM app. Inside the final 20 minutes, here from Charleston, a 2-0 advantage for the Battery. Cal Jennings' first half brace making the difference. And Rhode Island in its season opener finds its backs against the wall for the first time against Charleston, a side that has never suffered defeat in 3 previous meetings against the Battery. Zara just able to keep that in play. Harivo starting to get involved in the build for RIFC. Ben Pierman still urging his lads on. We mentioned his decorated pedigree. Cano Smith, after last season, starting to build a trophy case of his own. The last 2 Eastern Conference Championship winning coaches in the USL Championship. Cano Smith says they go way back, are good friends as well off the pitch.
Rhode Island just doing a good job of staying very tight and compact right now. They're making it very hard, not Rhode Island, Charleston, sorry. They're making it very hard for Rhode Island to play in between them. As you saw, they're very tight, compact. Distances between the players is good. Forcing Rhode Island to try to play over them, and an errant pass goes out for a throw-in. But defensively, Charleston looking very good in terms of keeping their shape positionally.
A side that is well drilled in its system. Plays a 4-2-3-1 with regularity. A very established back line as well. They returned the bulk of their starters from a season ago, especially along the back. Once again, Douglas Martinez is dealing with some sort of knock on the pitch. Once again up to his feet on his own power. Fans, that injury stoppage is brought to you by MUSC Sports Medicine. More instructions from Ben Pierman to Juan David Torres, who's been a game changer tonight for Charleston, as he was last week in the matchup against Louisville. The scariest thing about this Charleston side is not even at full strength tonight. We mentioned MD Myers not in the squad, nor is Mark Segbers, 2 players who started regularly, and Myers is the top returning goal scorer, and yet we still see them up 2-0 in one of their major banner clashes as Douglas Martinez's night comes to a premature conclusion, it seems. He's replaced by Emilio Icaza. you would think this means that Torres moves out wide, right?
Yeah, Torres could potentially go out wide, but Ikaza, again, a very good player in possession of ball, industrious, able to create goal-scoring chances for his teammates. Martinez, of course, the focus will be keeping him healthy. So early in the season, you don't want anything becoming chronic and him being out for a long period of time. So I imagine there's a level of protection in there.
Well, fans, substitution for the Battery brought to you by Publix. We love subs, the best place to get your favorite Publix subs and all your tailgating needs, Publix.com. Into the final quarter of an hour here from Charleston. Battery just looking to see this out from here on out. Loose touch from Malloy, one of the few we've seen tonight from him.
As we mentioned, the first 5 to 8 games of the season, players are really still building their match fitness. I think once you get 5 games deep, that's when managers really start to pull the hammer down on players, when they've had the opportunity to build that level of consistency, game rhythm. It doesn't matter, all the preseason games you play, there's nothing that brings the intensity and focus like a real regular season game.
Huizera has been marked by Blackstock all evening. Tough assignment, but one that Langston's been up to tonight for Charleston.
Yeah, you can see they've got 3 players in those wide areas, not allowing Huizera a lot of time and space to do anything. It's been very rare he's been 1v1 situations and allowed to drive and exploit space like we know that he can.
2 more potential alterations being readied by Cano Smith. So far, none of the changes have come off just yet. Long throw from Holstad. Williams gets his head to it. It falls for Fuson. Crossed back in, headed along, and Landry stabs away with comfort. Finally, Zamudio able to let it run. Well, here more changes come. It's Amos Shapiro-Thompson replacing Maxi Rodriguez. Player who battled injury for the bulk of last season before playing a key role in the playoff hunt, and Joe Brito, a super sub last season, no different this year as he enters the action. It is Dikwa and Rodriguez, 2 playmakers who exit. Joe Brito, a success story about the USL's development platform. Then at Union Omaha in League One, now in the championship.
Quiet night from Dikwa by his standards. I'm sure he's a player who would have wanted to get off to a flying start today, get himself on the score sheet. As we mentioned, it's important for strikers to get themselves goals nice and early and build that confidence and momentum.
You mentioned just 8 touches in that first half. Wouldn't be shocked if it's even fewer in the second. They did not get him into many favorable spots tonight. Fuson surging ahead. Is there a plot twist for Rhode Island? Cuts it back! And just over the bar. A massive opportunity goes begging for Brito on his first involvement.
79th minute, I think Rhode Island registered their first shot on target, and it's probably an opportunity that Brito should have done better with. This has got to go low and hard into the corner, And I think they get themselves on the score sheet, and then this becomes a very interesting final 10 minutes of the game. Great opportunity there for Brito to get Rhode Island on the score sheet.
Does that provide RIFC with any renewed confidence ahead of these final 10 minutes? A corner for Fuson, and instead it will be taken by Shapiro Thompson. Within swing, it was headed along by Williams. And another deflection out of play, will run it right back.
And you can see Williams, the impact that he has with aerial balls, everything that's predominantly come in the air since he's come onto the pitch, he's been in and around or he's won. He also has that ability to affect play defensively at set pieces. He can be involved in the same way.
A few extracurriculars here coming together between what appears to be Yao and 1 to 2 Battery lads. Shapiro Thompson gets another crack at it. Back post this time, and too much hand fighting, says our official. Well, fans, the Battery are back in action here at Patriots Point on April 5th against Tampa Bay Rowdies. Tickets for that match are on sale now via SeatGeek, the official ticket provider of the Battery. Get yours now. Kickoff at 5:30 Eastern time between Charleston and Tampa Bay. How about that, an Eastern Conference semifinal rematch in your next home match after the Eastern Conference final rematch?
Tough start to the season, but kind of sets the tone. If you're able to pick up some points against these bigger teams at home, kind of can give you the momentum and the confidence that you need for kicking on for the duration of the season. You know that if you're able to pick up points against the bigger teams, the better teams, you're in good stead going forward. So these tests, I'm sure they're relishing the opportunity to face some of these opponents very early in the season.
We hit it off the top. A gauntlet for Charleston to begin their season. 5 of their first 6 matches against playoff teams from a season ago. And it doesn't help when one of them is the reigning Players' Shield winners, and the next is the team that beat you in the Eastern Conference Finals. Not to mention a Tampa team that gave them quite the test in the previous round as well. For Rhode Island, though, it's no cakewalk either. Their first 5 matches on the road, because they opened their new stadium at Tidewater Landing in early May. It could host, in theory, a 3rd round U.S. Open Cup match, but the first match on the calendar at home for Rhode Island is May 3rd. So they're on the road, and when talking to Cano Smith, he said the playoff run in many respects prepared us for that. We played 4 straight on the road. It's not much different.
And as we spoke about, they always found a way to pick up points. I think they're looking forward to going into their home stadium to make it hostile, to make it a place, a fortress, a place that they can call home, make it very difficult for opponents to come. We know that Charleston is a very difficult place to go away and pick up points. And Charleston have made it difficult tonight. The fans have made it difficult tonight. They're looking forward to having their home and their fortress shortly, where they can repeat the same.
One final change for Charleston is Joey Apononu, as well as Jackson Conway getting set to enter. And Cal Jennings makes way to a deserved applause. Well, fans, public substitution for the Battery. A great sub deserves another. Order your favorite Publix subs for your next tailgate party at Publix.com. It is Apononu's first opportunity for Charleston. And Conway, who was a super sub a season ago, also filling in up front. Well, Apononu was under contract with FC Cincinnati. He's making his Battery debut tonight after signing on January 13th.
I think that'll make him the 7th player over the past 2 games making their debut.
Early season, you get a lot of those, don't you? Not to mention next week in Open Cup. Although Charleston, they don't enter until the third round, neither does Rhode Island. Quizera. It's an inventive ball, one that just eluded the run of his teammate.
You can see some of the intent is there for Rhode Island. It just hasn't clicked tonight. There's been some good movements, some good runs, some good intent with the passes. It just hasn't clicked as well as Cano Smith would have really liked.
You never know. If they manage to bag a goal, things could get intriguing. But as things stand, there's not been a lot of goal threat throughout the side tonight.
Oh, and I think they'll probably be the first ones to reflect and say one shot on target over the course of 85 minutes is not sufficient enough to win games away from home. Of course, away from home, you may not get 10, 20 shots on target, but the few that you get, you have to be pretty clinical. But I think you're asking a lot if you're looking for a conversion rate of one shot, one goal away from home. I think they all know that they need to be a little bit more creative going forward and definitely clinical in the chances that they create.
Well, Ben Pierman will be pleased with what he's seen through 85 minutes. It's now just about finishing the job. He's talked about improving week to week. There's certainly been an improvement in result between week 1 and week 2.
And of course, he was looking for revenge.
Definitely.
We spoke about this. He was looking for a response. They're maybe frustrated with the result that they got last week based upon how they performed. And of course, they were looking for revenge for last November. So I think he'll be happy in the response that his players were able to give tonight.
Fans, that injury stoppage is brought to you by MUSC Sports Medicine. Dos Santos quickly back to his feet after this coming together. Quizera. Not too many touches in dangerous positions. Has been at the center of Rhode Island's best tonight, albeit it's come in limited bunches so far. Stoneman blasting this forward towards Williams. Flick back towards Fuson. Only as far as Holstad.
That's we spoke about what does Williams bring? He brings exactly that. Those long diagonal balls, he's able to occupy defenders in.
It's played toward him now. Goes down in the box. The referee's unmoved. Now back stick and an excellent stop from Zamudio. Erasing any semblance of intrigue that possibly could have emerged here late.
I think you're looking at two chances there that could possibly have this game tied at 2-2. If you're looking at the chance that we saw earlier from Brito, and then you're looking at this header, great delivery to the back post. Again, Williams just making himself a nuisance in and around the box. Great delivery here from Quizera. Rises well. Again, it's Brito at the back post. He's had two chances. The first one I would say was definitely a little easier. The second one was definitely a little harder, but he's had two chances there where he could have got Rhode Island on the score sheet.
Has done quite well with the second chance, to be fair. Fans, eFootball is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball is free to play. Download now. One final change now for Charleston. It is Josh Drack who replaces Juan David Torres. An excellent performance from Torres tonight.
Yeah, he has continued his strong start to the season. Very important player for Charleston in the attack.
Credited with one assist to his name on the second Jennings goal, although you can give him an indirect one on the first for the delivery as well. Another strong display by the 23-year-old playmaker. Harivo. We are into the final minute of the 90, and as things stand, it is a steep mountain for Rhode Island.
No Darcy turning over possession needlessly when Rhode Island were actually having a good spell of connecting passes in the attacking third.
It's been the unfortunate story of the night. Rhode Island in the final third, not able to engineer much of note. Charleston's done well to prevent them from getting there much as well. They look to layer sharper tonight. Fuson. Was Hunting Williams. Dealt with by Apononu. Malloy. Fan stoppage time is brought to you by Gildan. It is 4 minutes of added time that separate Charleston from their first 3 points of the season. Yellow card shown to Zamudio for time wasting, presumably. Off to head. Vegas collecting the other way. Nadarse. If it's going to come for Rhode Island, it must come now. Switch towards Quizera. Low cross, stabbed away confidently.
We've definitely seen Quizera be a lot more involved in the attack in these closing 15 minutes. I think the introduction of Herrero and Williams has also allowed Rhode Island to be a little bit more effective going forward. I feel like there's one more big opportunity left in this game.
We've had a couple in the final 15. Although they may be penalized for this shoving match in the box.
I think both teams have to be careful here. Rhode Island have a good opportunity to get a shot on goal, and at the same time, Charleston don't want to give away a silly penalty kick in the last 2 minutes of additional time.
Olstad has had a few opportunities on long throws. Another comes towards Williams. It falls. Ultimately to Ikaza's feet. Wise games management there.
Just stays composed and calm. In that situation, Manny would have just swung and smashed at the ball and just dips his shoulder, keeps his team in possession, and obviously no rush to get himself back on his feet right now.
Perhaps a layer of gamesmanship.
As expected in the closing phases of the game.
Well, we rapidly approach the final minute of stoppage time. For Rhode Island, the road test continues next week with a trip to Phoenix to take on Phoenix Rising, which should be a very interesting one. I'm sure they are glad they avoided the trip to Phoenix in July, though.
Phoenix currently down 1-0 to El Paso, 20 minutes into the game.
Charleston, only 2 of their first 6 matches on the road, but next week they do travel to North Carolina. It appears academic at this stage. Vegas lost his footing. Crafty back heel, and the flag raised against Landry.
Going into the book for that for sure.
Can't really fault the official either, it's textbook. Yellow shown to Husu Landry. We're beyond the 4 added minutes. Charleston has exacted a measure of revenge tonight. They logged their first 3 points of the season with their first ever win against Rhode Island FC, and they do it by the boots of Cal Jennings, whose brace separated the two teams tonight.
Yeah, I think it was a strong performance from Charleston Battery. For Rhode Island, I think it was a first game of the season, opportunity for the players to get their feet wet, reflect, a true opportunity to let go of last season and kickstart again and look at where they're going to grow, where they need to get better, where they need to improve.
Juan David Torres was a magician tonight. His two set-piece deliveries were a key part of the 2-0 victory, and it finishes 2-0 to Charleston at the end of 90 minutes. We will step aside when we return a look at the standout moments from those 90 minutes.
What do you want? What's that really good non-alcoholic beer I keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
Do you have a non-alcoholic beer that actually
tastes good? It's athletic. You're holding it.
You mean athletic? You're looking at it.
I think you mean athletic.
It's athletic. Ask for it.
Return to the field. Score the winning shot. Beat your personal record. Team up with MUSC Health Sports Medicine for all your sports-related injury care and rehabilitation. MUSC Health is the official sports medicine provider for your favorite local teams. From semi-pro athletes to weekend warriors, our sports medicine team provides state-of-the-art injury prevention, treatment, surgery, and rehabilitation for athletes of all ages. Go where the pros go. Schedule an appointment today.
Back post, Torres scores! Across the header, it's in! Ball comes out, Rodriguez! The box, but empty, Myers scores!
Back here in Charleston, where the Battery earned their first victory of the season against the side that eliminated them from the Eastern Conference Finals a season ago. The full-time score presented by Pepper Law Firm, Charleston 2, Rhode Island 0, and it is a party at Patriots Point at the end of 90 minutes. Well, it's now time for tonight's Man of the Match, presented by Fix It 24/7. Who else but the brace provider, Cal Jennings?
Yeah, I thought he had a very strong performance tonight and got himself on the score sheet twice, but his hold-up play was good. When he wasn't able to get shots off, he did a good job of keeping possession for his team in the attacking third. Obviously, he has some big boots to fill. Very, very good performance from him tonight.
Well, let's jump into the full-time highlights now, presented by Publix. One-way traffic for the majority of the first 75 especially.
Yeah, we saw a good start here from Rhode Island. Runs in behind Dequa. We see here he's wide. There's nobody in the box, but he does a good job of holding up play. Ball ricochets to the edge of the box here. Fusion gets his shot off and just inches wide of the upright. Thought somebody might have got their foot on the end of that, and it could have been Rhode Island. Very different story in the lead early on in this game.
Then in the 15th minute, you saw Charleston begin to pick up the pressure, and this is when Jennings struck.
Set piece is such an integral part of this game. Vegas does well with the first ball, but nobody reacts quick enough for the second one, and Jennings on the swivel, rotates, swings his foot in the back of the net. Rhode Island 1-0 down.
And then it went from bad to worse. This direct off a corner. What a delivery from Torres as well.
Great delivery. Misses the first man. It's what coaches always try to coach about, those whipped-in deliveries. And again, Jennings finds himself in the right place at the right time. Just guides it into the back of the net to put Charleston 2-0 in the lead.
Rhode Island, though, did have some chances late. A couple of glaring opportunities that didn't quite go their way.
Yeah, Williams came in and had a good impact, just being able to hold on to that ball. Good layoff here for Brito. He's leaning back, going high and wide. I think if he keeps his head over the ball and drills it low into the corner, they're back into this game, getting themselves on the score sheet. But unfortunately, good save. Game ends 2-0 in favor of Charleston.
Time for our full-time stats presented by Gildan. And Rhode Island began to make up the shot tally a bit, but only 2 shots on target in the entire game. That simply will not cut it for you if you're looking to overcome a 2-0 deficit.
Yeah, and both those shots in target came from Brito when he came into the game. The opportunity we just had and a late-on header that he had. But I think there's tons of opportunity and room for growth. If we look at the 11 shots in total, they just need to be a little bit more methodical, a little bit more chemistry on where they create those goals and opportunities, and be more clinical. And I think it will come over time. First game of the season. Of course, it was a Eastern Conference final from last year. No 2 games are the same. going into this season, Charleston Battery have the advantage in this matchup.
Charleston earning their first ever victory against Rhode Island FC, and they exact much needed revenge early in the season to get their first victory of the year. They take down Rhode Island FC, the defending Eastern Conference champions, tonight. The final score presented by the Pepper Law Firm is Charleston 2, Rhode Island 0. So for my broadcast partner, Chris Nurse, and our terrific crew here on the Golazo Network, I'm Sam Goldfarb saying so long from Charleston. The Battery notched their first win of the season here at Patriots Point.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.